Now let's get to our first topic of discussion today. Now, multiple taxation occur where tax is levied on the same person in respect of the same liability by more than one state or local government council. Now, various unlawful compulsory payments are collected by authorities without appropriate legal backings through intimidation and harassment of payers. Collection of it is characterized by the use of stickers, mounting roadblocks, and using of revenue agents, consultants, including multiple-pack touts. Well, the executive chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Mohammed Nami, also said something about this. Take a listen.
Another issue that the government is worried about is the issue of multiplicity of taxes. The FIRS and Joint Tax Board are currently working on various modalities of addressing this challenge, and these partnerships have laid a very good foundation for the government for addressing the issue of multiple taxation and extortion by tax officials, tax agents, touts in our marketplace.
Interesting. Well, joining me on this program live is the president, chairman of Council, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Mr. Samuel Agbeluyi. Thank you so much. It's good to have you in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
And happy Eid al-Kabir to you too.
Happy Salah to all of us.
Yes, so now let's get talking and start by understanding the state of Nigeria's tax system. I would say you've been in the game for some time. So, of course, how have we fared over the years?
Well, over the years, we have not done well. But in recent time, things have started changing. And it's no longer a secret that taxation has rescued Nigeria from what would have been a total disgrace, kiosk, in the past 1 year, 1.5 years, when NLPC could no longer go to Federal Account Allocation Committee with any money. So Federal Inland Revenue Service has come to the rescue of the country. So the tax system, the system is rescuing, but in order to rescue and prosper, we need to do a lot of understanding. All the stakeholders need to understand, support, so that Nigeria can take its rightful place amongst the community of a nation.
It's a good way to start the conversation because the federal government is clearly focused on generating so much money from non-oil at the moment. How achievable or how feasible is this in helping government bridge revenue gap?
It is achievable, it is practicable, and it is the way to go. Possibly the only way to go. Taxation is the most sustainable way of financing government. If you look at public finance, and it's been said that it's the price you pay to live in a civilized environment, civilized community. So the situation in the country cannot be different from that of other developed countries. If you want to live in a civilized environment, then we need to do the needful. But it is not just sufficient to say we want to increase our tax revenue. There are processes, and there are reasons why we have not actually done well over the years. And one of the major reasons why we have not done very well over the years has to do with the lack of confidence of the populace, of the taxpayer in government. There has been a lot of trust deficit, and no one gives money to the person he doesn't trust. So that has been the problem. So the government needs to build confidence. We have, over the years, enjoyed getting money from oil revenue, that which we call natural resource. But that has stopped, and it's stopping for good. If that is the direction and the way to go, then we need to ensure that for every kobo, for every amount of money that is given to government, you need to properly utilize. There must be accountability, there must be transparency. And government officials need to tone down on the kind of affluence they display. Because tax payment is not easy anywhere in the world. But you carry people along, there will be voluntary compliance in terms of payment of taxes. Once they can see the government, the leaders, genuinely leading them, not taking them for a ride. Once this is done, then, of course, we do well. We have sufficient capacity in any form we look at it to finance our activities, our developmental program through tax revenue.
Cost of governance, very important. Many have talked about that in recent times. Nigerians are taking the pain of subsidy removal, which is, of course, very important to take out at this time. And so government also needs to show that, yes, we are ready to reduce this. So what would be your message to political office holders at this time, directly, states and, of course, at the federal level?
Of course, this is clear, even to the blind, that we can't continue the way we are continuing. And it's simple. Nigeria has done very well in the past, and we can still do very well. I'll give you an example. Everybody make reference to, or most people make reference to, the giant strike by Chief Obafemi Awolowo in the West. Go and look at the budget structure of Western Nigeria under Chief Obafemi Awolowo. It was mostly 25% for recurrent, which is overhead, and 75% for capital project. So when you have that kind of budget structure, whereby you have sufficient money, material part of your budget allocated for developmental goal, of course, there will be development. That is not, and once you have that kind of structure, you don't have this endless assistance, bogus government, PA to special assistant to special, what have you, endless legions of people trying to just act as a parasite to the system. We can't continue that way. That is not the way to use tax you collect from people. So the cost of governance is huge, and because we have a lot of agencies duplicating activities. And it's not just that they are duplicating activities, they are even standing as a clog in the wheel of progress to the business communities, to the extent that whatever you want to do, you have a lot of layers of government agencies that you need to relate with. And they are not interested, most of them are not interested in how you survive or how your business thrives. They are kind of competing to get revenue through whatever means they charge you. And doing that is also one of the reasons why people are no longer paying taxes, because people can no longer differentiate which one is legitimate, which one is taxes, which one is levies. And as a result, people see everything and paint everything with one brush. So, and I actually sympathize with the tax revenue officers in this country now. The job they are doing is a very difficult one. Unfortunately or ironically, their job stops at point of collection, accounting, and remitting to the government. They are not the ones spending this money. But the taxpayer is not looking at the difference. The taxpayer is interested, I've given you money, you are the one I've seen, so are you spending the money? But who has the authority or discretion in Federal Internal Revenue or Lagos State Internal Revenue Service to spend the money? They don't have. The spending belongs to our leaders, and we need to properly check them. It is key.
Interesting stuff. Let's now stay more on multiple taxation. And it's so interesting. Our president has a legal law background. So, some of these issues are, because when you look at it, why are we unable? I've been hearing this since I was a child. Multiple taxation. Why are we unable to nip this in the bud and make it so clear? One thing I see is clarity. It makes businesses or investors interested in coming to any economy. So why is it just so difficult to address this ugly trend?
Okay, let me start by, since you are a child, You have just indirectly told me that we don't belong to the same generation. Now, when I was a child,
Okay.
it was not much of a problem.
Okay.
What we knew then was it is compulsory to pay your taxes. The issue of multiplicity of taxes was not at this rate. It was as we started developing, and we had leaders who would rather not think, just do whatever is called low-hanging tree and move on. And leaders are meant to think. You can't be a great leader without thinking. So it has never been like this, but of course, maybe in the past 20, 30 years, as the case may be, so that speaks to the fact that we don't belong to the same generation. Now, why is it we over-rely on revenue from oil, as I alluded earlier?
Yes.
In addition to that, government has, over the years, lost some legitimacy. So that brought up a lot of non-state actors who have seen gaps within the system, whereby they started levying, collecting taxes just for whatever purpose they desire, right, just by virtue of strength, physical strength, coercion. So this has actually done more damage to the legitimate taxes that the government is collecting. And of course, if you must talk of the structure which the government across the various strata of the economy is collecting, I tell you, by the last time I checked, the list of taxes and levies approved, where that government is supposed to be collecting 9 different type of taxes. That is rather high. But by the time you look at that, compared to states that are supposed to collect about 25 different taxes, then you move to local government where you have about 21 different taxes, all together 55. No system can do that kind of a thing, arrangement, and move forward. Adam Smith, in the 18th century, when he was talking of canon of taxation, he mentioned economy of collection. How do you have 55 unweighted taxes? How do you collect? In the first instance, another principle of taxes that is so important, you can't maintain that, which is certainty. You must know what my business will be subjected to, tax-wise, in the next 1 year, the next 2 years. Yes. How do you handle this? What is the benefit? Who benefits from 55 various taxes of types of taxes? So going forward, and we have no choice in this. We must do this. We need to harmonize this. It builds the confidence of people. They know for certainty what they need to pay and who is to collect. So once we are able to do this, of course, our tax revenue not leaving behind the trust deficit I mentioned earlier. Once we can do this, Nigerians are good people, fantastic set of people. They will do the right thing. Our revenue will move up, and we will develop. And we will stop spending 96% of our budget, of our revenue, on payment of tax, of debt. There are ways out of the lockdown, quagmire, but we must be deliberate.
Interesting. President, it's getting so interesting. Recently, the FRS announced an increase. I think tax to GDP ratio, also since I've been here, is always around 6%, 5 to 6%. But I think something better than that now, I think around 8 to 10%, putting some, cumulatively adding some things together. But really, I'd like you to just react to this. Is that where we should be? I guess we should do better than that. If you look at some African countries, they are doing far better than that.
Well, specifically, the tax to GDP is now 10.86.
10.86, yeah.
So, and we have moved from about 6% to 10.86. But I tell you, by West African standard, we are supposed to be doing average of 15%. That means even by the standard set at West African level, we are behind the benchmark that we are supposed to meet. But it's good. It's a better, it's a good news that we have moved from 6. Some of us that have attended conferences across the sub-region and Africa and beyond, it has been a kind of a thing that we are not proud of.
Honestly.
So we have moved to 10.8, and we can do better. We can do better by harmonizing a lot of things. And I tell you, there is no running away from the fact that once you are transparent, the government is transparent, and I'm not focusing on federal government alone.
Yeah.
We have over-concentrated on federal government in terms of responsibility of our leaders. If you are a state governor, can you please lead your people right? The moment they can relate with what we are doing, I tell you, they will do the needful. We have the personnel. We have professionals across the country. In CITN, we have over 28,000 members who are properly trained to ensure whether they work for the revenue agencies or as consultants to government or as academic in the various tertiary institutions. Because we are not the politician. I mean no harm. It's not a bad thing to be a politician. But in most cases, you hear the politicians talking about what they want to do without looking at the process leading to it. We are interested in the process. So we are interested in advocacy, in training, in creating awareness to the members of the public, to the taxpayer, letting them know that it is even in our common interest to put this money together and put in the hand of government and hold them responsible so that we stop becoming or continue to be local government to ourselves. It's in the best interest of everybody. Why should we be hiring security for ourselves? Why should we be generating energy? Once we are able to do this, these are the benefits. And we will keep on emphasizing this to the public to know that once you do what you are supposed to do, we have less of a headache. And I think I see light at the end of the tunnel.
Almost finally, Mr. President. Now, congratulations on your new role, of course, the new president of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, chairman of council. What should Nigerians and, of course, practitioners expect in this new dispensation?
Well, you said in your intro that we've been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
So it's just change of position.
Yeah.
So to our members, over 28,000 members of CITN, I tell them this: respect leadership, positive leadership. We have our culture. We are dynamic. Taxation itself is dynamic. So we give dynamic leadership. We meet their interests. There will be training. We play more at international level because taxation is no longer a local item.
Yeah.
The OECD of this world, the UN of this world, keep on rolling out standards. And in most cases, we are not there. The most recent experience is the global minimum tax, except we need to thank FRS that stood up and said we are not putting pen to paper. So we need to play more. It's no longer the national law that you obey. There are some other international law that you are bound to obey. And in doing that, you need knowledge. So I will bring this to our members and to the general public. We assure you, if you are supposed to pay 100 naira, we will make sure that you don't pay a kobo above 100 naira. But we are also not going to encourage you. If you are supposed to pay 100 naira, we are not going to encourage you to pay 99. Pay 100 out of 100, Nigeria will move forward.
Technology has a role to play in all of this. What are you thinking, incorporating technology into all that you're going to be doing?
Well, that is also here. It's a solution, it's a benefit, it's a positive. So all we need to do is to embrace. And I'll give you an example. Tax collection has at its root enumeration. You must know the people that you will bring into the tax net. So you need proper enumeration. And technology has brought a lot of solutions in this area. So once we are able to do that, and this government, I advise them, we need to stop this silos policy. FRS collecting data, national identity card collecting data. We need to harmonize our data because without enumeration, without having the data or the people you want to collect taxes from, you go nowhere. So let us stop this. And I tell you, I advise them. The banking sector has been great in this country. Most times we try to emphasize what they have not done right. but we are not emphasizing what they have done right. Gone are those days of tally number, where you sleep in the banks. So if you want to harmonize these various data of the populace, now that we have BVN, can you use them? The private sector are given to efficiency. Can you use them to do this? If you, it was so sad when recently we saw senior government officers sharing palliative by cash. That was an opportunity to bring a lot of people into the system and capture their information. So going forward, we need to do that. Once we can leverage on taxation, once we are on technology, once we are able to do that, I tell you, the Google of this world, the Facebook of this world, they will realize that, of course, Nigeria is a place where they need to also fulfill their obligations.
Interesting conversation, I must say. President, Chairman of Council, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, there, Mr. Samuel Olushola Agbeluyi. Thank you so much for your time on the program. It's interesting to have you. And we'll follow up on activities with CIT, and I will always have you here subsequently to speak around it.
We'll be happy to partner with you.
All right, thank you so much. Great.